Hello and welcome to the Tokyo Aquatics Center. We find ourselves ready for a thrilling session of swimming this morning. We welcome you to the Tokyo Aquatics Center. It is the third day of competition with preliminaries and finals to come on this very day of the Paralympic Games of Tokyo 2020. How enthusiastic we have been watching the finals over the past 2 days. But this session is a full session that is teeing up a few very, very important finals. We've got some great sprint finals as well as the longer freestyle S14 events over the 200. The men's and women's 200 individual medley and a couple of sprints in between that and the earlier events, including the men's 100-meter backstroke, with which we will start. But if you're looking at the action overall on day 3, it is jam-packed and we are set for another quality day. 2 sessions on the third day of competition, starting off with the heats and then into the finals we will go for an evening session, a final session later to Tokyo time. This is the glorious pool at the Tokyo Aquatic Center. It is heated pool, 5 meters deep, 50 meters in length. And this is where the individuals are hoping to break further world, Paralympic, national, area, regional records. We've seen a host of them already. The men's 100-meter backstroke S8 is the first event, and we will have 2 heats to see who advances to the final on day 3 of competition. Right here at this glorious venue, a venue that is purpose-built, newly constructed as a permanent venue here at the Tetsumi Nomori Seaside Park. The world record holder Zhao Zong of People's Republic of China in the men's 100-meter backstroke S8. Just taking a look at the lineup for the opening race. The men's 100-meter backstroke S8, first heat of 2. We'll see some bright young talents going in this tie, but overall a schedule to really look forward to, with the likes of Rudy Garcia-Tolson set to make a first appearance on day 3 of competition. He'll be going in the individual medley, a race that he's dominated for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, that's actually his favorite race. I'd say that's one of the ones to watch. The 100 backstroke should be good. You've got 3 Americans. Rob Griswold, it'd be great if he could start to creep up on that world record. Then Reese Dunn in the 200 freestyle. You know, he's probably still a little bit upset from the 100 fly on day 1, so he'd like to get first. Plus, you're going to see Mallory Wegman in the women's 200-meter individual medley for SM7. And then, of course, Ihar Boki in the 400 freestyle, who actually in that event could get touched. Well,
yes, the one event in which he's potentially a little weak. Well, I say that. There are 2 events, the 400 free and maybe the 100 breast as well, where it's certainly not his favorite event is the 100 breast. He's won so many medals, but never in the breaststroke individually. That is remarkable. We start off with the men's 100-meter backstroke S8. These are the 5 competitors making their way out for the first heat of 2. There's Joseph Pepersack and Matthew Torres will both be going in this first heat for the United States. A race that also sees 19-year-old Pavel Kuklin going, a man who won his first gold at the Russian Champs. And there is Inigo Llopis. His father is a rather remarkable individual from San Sebastian in Spain, but his father works for the giant club that is Real Madrid. He's goalkeeper coach. A club that has won more European Championship titles than any other in the world of football. There is Pavel Kuklin, Pasha to his teammates. This is his only event in Tokyo. He's come to take part in an event he believes he can win. While for Liu Fengqi from Hebei province, the 22-year-old, a chance as well to get himself a decent lane draw for the final. He would be expecting to qualify as sub-110 swimmer, no problems. So to the first heat of the morning session. on day 3 of competition at Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. A little concern on the starters blocks.
No, not possible. No, dangerous. Sorry.
There seems to be concern over the position of the starters blocks. An official is seemingly saying that there is a limit that cannot be surpassed.
You cannot release everything. You need to stay here. That's the lower. Okay?
Okay, so we are at the limit, it seems, for the starting position. Jopis is waiting patiently. He'll be the favourite, undoubtedly, to claim the win in this heat, is Jopis. But for Liu Fengqi. So Pepersak, Kuklin, Jopis, Liu and Torres. 2 Americans in the outer lanes, 2 and 6. So there is Torres. Alongside him is Liu, who is hoping to get the starting ladder a little way up. We are underway at the Tokyo Aquatic Center in this first heat of the men's 100-meter backstroke S8, in Liu Fengqi using that underwater as he does so well. And the concern here is, while he's got great leg power, he's only got one arm in which to try and power his way to the wall. So that leg power needs to be used as best as possible with the underwaters. That's where he really makes his advantage count.
Yeah, and that's exactly why he was so focused on the starting block, because the position for him, it affects how much he can spring backwards. Here, you're going to go into the turn. I expect Liu to have, right, you can see it, the better underwater kick. But then Lopez Sanz, who has the upper and the lower arm impairment, though he can use all of his limbs, so he's going to take advantage of that. And see, now his legs are starting to die.
And Jopis is set to, in his stroke, maybe make it happen. Joseph Pepersak, going in lane 1, is actually having a storming 50 as well, so he looks like he might touch for third at the moment. But this is going to be a little bit of a battle here between Liu and Jopis to see who touches first. In the final 10, it is Jopis who's pulling away. Pepersak is making up ground, so to Kuklin, but it is going to be Jopis who claims it ahead of Liu. Pepersak does touch third, and fourth just behind is Pavel Kuklin at 109.77. But a winning time of 107.90 for Jopis. Is yet to make a Paralympic Games final in any event, but a man who won bronze at the World Championships in London is looking to go for gold at Tokyo 2020. So he takes the opening heat, and he will be.
And here you see that start. This, again, was why Liu was so focused on the positioning of the starting block, because he needs everything that he can coming off of the start. Lopez, really, he's way behind. But then when you come into the turn, Liu's legs, they're already fading. He's going to get the advantage coming off, and he uses the underwater to try and extend his, or take the lead back right now. But then Lopez Sanz, as soon as he breaks the surface, you see he's just got the advantage, because even though he's got the shortened arm and leg, he can still take advantage of all 4 limbs as he heads into the finish. And 107.9, it's a solid swim for prelims. It will definitely get him into the final, and he's going to want to position himself next to Griswold.
Well, that's exactly it. If he can get on the shoulder of Griswold and stay with him in the final. Inigo Jopis ahead of Liu Fengqi, and Joseph Pepersak touching third quickest. This is the start list for the second heat of the men's 100-meter backstroke S8. 6 swimmers going in lanes 2 to 7, including Robert Griswold going in lane 4, the favourite for the gold medal in this event. A man who's a 103 swimmer, just outside the world record of Zhou Tong, who's among those several swimmers who have been reclassified, so he's not swimming in the S8, the champion of Rio. But Robert Griswold, the world champion for the past 2 editions, in 2017 and 2019. a bronze medalist at the Paralympic Games in Rio. He goes in lane 4 and will be undoubtedly the player, the individual to watch. Martos, Semyonovs, Griswold, Ongels, Kubota, Cancela. Looking to use the underwater as well. The start of Robert Griswold is not quite as impressive as the start of Jesse Ongels, who's shot into an advantage, and so too Kubota of Japan, but not as quick as he would like in the stroke. Once Griswold gets into it, he looks to be in a league of his own.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Griswold, he's got cerebral palsy, so he's got the impairment in his legs. So every time he pops up, he's always behind the rest. But once he gets into the stroke, see right now, he's way ahead. He's not really able to use his underwaters the way some of the other swimmers you can see right now, but his stroke, it's very powerful. He catches a ton of water underneath. He maintains a very even and balanced stroke rate. Right now for him, he needs to build the second 50 to position himself well for finals.
So Griswold is looking good for the victory here. He's a couple of body lengths ahead and just cruising now. Juris Semyonovs is looking to make up a little bit of ground, the European champion from Latvia. Jesse Ongels is coming back with a really fast stroke and should touch second behind Griswold, who touches first. And Kubota of Japan is going to be in a battle for third, and he and Semyonovs touch exactly the same time. So 109.88 for both Semyonov and Kubota. So fairly comfortable for Robert Griswold, the bronze medalist of 5 years ago in Rio de Janeiro. A 103 swimmer, swims a 105. And that'll see him comfortably into the final in lane 4, where he wants to be.
And here he is off the blocks. He pulls himself up very high because he can't really use that underwater, and then he pops up very quickly to the surface. His splits were even, which again is what you would expect from someone who doesn't get that much off the start. He went out in 31, he came back in 34. Here he is coming off the wall, pops right up because he's better. For him, he's faster swimming than he is underwater, which is the opposite of what you would see for someone who doesn't have a disability, who really needs to take advantage of that underwater.
So, a solid swim from Griswold, which sees him confirmed as the fastest in Heat 2, ahead of Jesse Ongels, who had a much better back end. Juris Semyonovs and Kubota Kota. It's the exact same time as they touched third fastest overall. Confirming who advances to the final, and just sneaking in, Semyonovs and Kubota, who will have outside lanes for the race. Josh Pepersak is comfortably in, one of two Americans as Griswold qualifies quickest, but Ongels and Jopis will be hoping to challenge for that gold as well. On to the first heat of 3 for the men's 200-meter freestyle S14. We do have a DNS in Thomas Homer, the World Championship silver medalist in London. Silver medalist is not on the starting blocks, as is a DNS. So Lee, Bennett, Catchpole and Felipe Villarreal are the 4 swimmers who go in this first heat. And a very good start from all of the 4, but Lee and Cook looking to use his underwater in the stroke, though Bennett and Catchpole are looking the swimmers to set the pace.
Yeah, I mean, the absence of Hamer here, that actually really opens up the event. He definitely would have challenged for a podium position, maybe even challenged Reese Dunn, who knows. Bennett, though, coming off the wall, he looks good. He pops up to the surface. The 200, it's a pretty short event. It's not a sprint, but it's not a distance, so it's important to keep every single 50 relatively controlled. You're going to see they're going to start to turn on their legs a lot as they head into that second 100 and especially into the last 50.
And this is starting to look like a very comfortable swim for Nicholas Bennett. Lee and Cook and Catchpole are looking to touch at the 100 mark. Bennett is very comfortably into his stroke and swimming with a very good tempo and rhythm. A little pickup of pace now from Jordan Catchpole.
Yeah, these swimmers are actually all pretty close together. The third 50 and the 200 is the most important 50 because you set yourself up for that final 50, which is just it can be an all-out sprint, especially at night. Bennett, he's still in the lead, 125.95, so he's strong. He's maintaining his pace. And here right now, you see them start to really turn on the legs.
So this is going to be a little bit of a sprint between these two if they are looking to challenge one another for the first touch in this heat. But at the moment, it is Catchpole who is showing the stronger finish. She's going to come home ahead of Bennett, who is leading at the 100 mark. And in the absence of Hamer, it is Catchpole, his compatriot, who claims the victory in the heat as Nicholas Bennett touches second fastest, and Felipe Villarreal touches third fastest with Lee, who got off to a promising start just outside the 2-minute mark. Jordan Catchpole, 156.81 for the British swimmer.
Here they are coming off the start. Bennett got out to the early lead. I almost want to say he went out a little bit fast for him, but Catchpole, he was stronger at the end. Here's Bennett. He went out very fast. You see his arms look very strong there as he comes in. Here they are approaching the turn, and Bennett has the advantage here. But where Jordan Catchpole really made his move was on that third 50 right at the end, and here, coming home, Jordan Catchpole turned on the legs, and Bennett didn't so much. He started to fade back, and this is where Jordan really took it.
So the World Championship bronze medalist, European Championship silver medalist, has got the victory of the heat under his belt. Now to watch the times ultimately. Nicholas Bennett with a 158.49 might fancy qualifying for the final, but he's going to have to hope that a few swimmers go slower than they might usually. Second heat of 3 in the men's 200-meter freestyle S14. 2 Australians in the center lanes, 4 and 5. He's done the world record holder, 152.96. He'll be going in the third heat. Tang Wai Lok, the Paralympic record holder, goes in lane 3. And as defending champion, is going to be up against it. Real battle. Palazzo, Tang, Schluter, Betar, Nakajima, and Maye. Oh, what a start from Betar. The Osaka-born Australian finds himself absolutely blasting off the starters blocks. And into his stroke he goes. It is the Australians and then Palazzo of Italy going in lane 1, who's taking it out very hard as well.
Yeah, Betar, he had the great start. You know, in the S14 classifications, they do have the intellectual impairment, but every once in a while it affects their memory, pattern recognition, and sometimes reaction time. But Betar, excellent start on his end. But now you see he's coming into the back a little bit. He can't really maintain that lead.
At the moment, it is Misha Palazzo of Italy who is looking good for the lead. Ricky Betar is not exactly fading, but he's been caught by the likes of Schluter, and on his outside, Nakajima Keiichi, the former bronze medalist at the Paralympic Games as well. It'll be the Italian who touches first. The defending champion, the 200-meter freestyle S14 winner of Rio de Janeiro in Tang Wai Lok, is just a little way off the pace at the moment, having touched 5th at the halfway mark, but you can expect him to come back strong. And to be fair, there's only really 2 body lengths separating first from last so far.
Yeah, but look, right now, here comes Tang. Tang's a very experienced swimmer in this race, and he's making his move right now in that third 50. This is the most important 50 of the 200, because you're setting yourself up for the last 50, which is a straight blast. And
that is going to be where he really shows his strength indeed. So quicker back end for Tang Wai Lok is what he's looking to achieve. We'll try to go out quicker and then go sub 30 in the next 2 50s and then try to bring it home with a 30-odd. But at the moment, Betar is holding on. Schluter is just ahead of him, and Palazzo is doing his part. But Tang Wai Lok might miss out on a final. He's accustomed to finishing really strongly, but he's going to touch 4th overall in this. As Schluter out-touches Betar with Palazzo, 3rd quickest in this heat. Schluter with a big shake of the head. The 17-year-old. Look at that start of Betar.
Yeah, he's in really fast. He had a great reaction time coming off the wall. You know, Schluter and Betar, both Australian, very accustomed to racing against each other. And what was interesting about this race is that the 4 in the middle, really, Tong, Schluter, Betar, and Palazzo, were really bunched together right up until the very end. Tong, he had a great 3rd 50, but he couldn't quite bring it home with the 2 Australians. See, here they are coming in right into the end. Betar and Schluter, both very good finishes. Although they're going to have to be quite a bit faster tonight if they want to get on the podium.
So this is going to be one of those races where the athletes are all within a couple of seconds of one another. Schluter, Betar, Palazzo, Tang Wai Lok might miss out on a final with that time, given who is to come in the 3rd heat of the men's 200-meter freestyle S14. To the men's 3rd heat of 3. That is the world record holder, Rhys Dunn, 152.96, the only sub-153 swimmer. But Miyake, Emeliantsev, Dunn, Bandera, Kuliaban, and Lee. Dunn will be the swimmer to watch, and yes, he's already claimed a medal at these games, but he was very disappointed to miss out on gold in the 100 fly. Maybe a point to prove here to ease the hurt.
And here he is. He's swimming right next to Bandera. And Rhys Dunn, I would think he wants to not go all out this morning, but he's definitely going to want to make a statement, put himself in lane 4. The 2nd heat was relatively slow in comparison to the 1st one. So Rhys Dunn, he set himself up nicely. He's taken a commanding lead. And now he's just looking to extend it and keep it controlled.
So silver in the 100 fly for the 25-year-old world champion and world record holder in Rhys Dunn. So this an event that he is looking to claim. Man who's been swimming for the longest time. Almost 2 decades he's been swimming. Competitively, relatively recent in the Paralympic sphere. He turns comfortably ahead of anybody else. Kudabin is closest to him, representing RPC. And then there's Bandera and Emeliantsev, who are just holding off the shoulder. Not too far off Miyazaki and Lee Ju-yong of Korea Republic, swimming in the outer lanes of this heat. But Rhys Dunn is looking very comfortable despite Kuliaban's effort to make up ground.
Yeah, here he is. He's going into the last 50. So you know he wants to turn on his legs, but not, he wants to blast it, but the blast really is going to come at finals tonight. But he does not want to let anyone beat him getting in, because he wants to be in that lane 4 right in the middle so he can see people to the left and to the right.
He's also wanting to see if he can secure that middle lane. He will be able to view the swimmers around him. This is a good a little battle developing between Emeliantsev, Bandera and Kuliaban, but Rhys Dunn is going to do enough here. He's just going to glide home and touch first ahead of Bandera and Emeliantsev, with Kuliaban just 4th fastest, 158.25. So a host of swimmers that have made sure the defending champion will not be in the final, but Rhys Dunn, 157.30. A thumbs up.
Here's Rhys. Good start off the block, and he takes advantage of that fly kick. Rhys Dunn, he really does have beautiful underwaters. And he goes out and he sets a very commanding lead. He went out in 55.9, which is a strong first 100. He's definitely got more for tonight. Again, when he comes off, he takes advantage of the underwaters. But, you know, coming home, I mean, Bandera, he really made a run for it that last 50. We knew he was coming because we saw how good he was on day 1. And I do think he's going to pose a threat to Rhys Dunn tonight.
Yeah, his finishing ability is superb, and certainly proved it in the fly. But Rhys Dunn ahead of Bandera, with 2 RPC swimmers, Emeliantsev and Kuliabin, finishing 3rd and 4th. It's about the times in the heats. And as a result, we have 2 Australians, 2 British swimmers, 2 swimmers representing RPC, Canada's Nicholas Bennett and Gabriel Bandera, already a champion of the 100 fly, going in the final. That means defending champion Deng Wai Lok of Hong Kong, China, misses out. This is the heats of the women's 200-meter freestyle S14. Bethany Firth, the world record holder and multiple champion in world and European Championships, previous Paralympic champion as well. Chan, Storm, Firth, Fides, Alonso and Podeshkina. So Bethany Firth alongside Louise Fides. It is the British swimmers in the red swim caps that we'll be looking towards to, or at least expect the touches to come from Bethany Firth in the centre lane in particular, and she's looking to extend an advantage really early on.
Yeah, I mean, she had a great underwater. Look at her turn right now. Here she is again. She really uses the underwater kick to extend her lead to the extent possible. She needs to not overswim this first 100 to make sure she has enough to come back with. She's the world record holder, so you know that she's experienced. But that world record, it was set in 2016. So you have to wonder, how did this pandemic affect their swimming? Will they be strong enough to hold on? You know, it was supposed to be in 2020. We're in 2021 now. So the question is, how did that extra year affect them? Did it help? Did it hurt? What did it do?
So Bethany Firth, indeed, is no longer world champion in this event. 4-time Paralympic Games champion. She won the gold in 2016 in this event, but she is wanting to get herself into a pole position for the final by claiming one of the centre lanes, 4 or 5. She knows she's got a battle to come in the final against Shabalina, despite her experience, so she wants to post a fast time, if she can, in the early morning session, in the preliminaries. And there's, in a sense, this tells you the story about how far the British swimmers are ahead of everybody else in the pool. Again, Bethany Firth using that underwater so well.
Yeah, right there, I thought Louise Fides was actually going to start to come up on her. And you can see Bethany Firth, she does appear to be fading a bit. Louise, she's starting to catch her a little, but Bethany Firth's underwater, they're so good. They allow her, even though she was kind of fading a bit coming into the wall, she was able to, you know, take back that, whatever ground she potentially lost and try and extend it again.
So Bethany Firth is going to come home and claim the victory by a fairly comfortable margin and a relatively slow time for her, 2:10.58. She finishes ahead of Louise Fides, the 20-year-old European bronze medalist, and third fastest is Ruby Storm, already a medalist at these games, having won bronze in the 100 fly. The young swimmer from Victoria. At Seafords, Bethany Firth has the top time in the first heat.
Here she's coming off the block. She didn't have a great reaction time, but what she did have was excellent underwaters. And here she pops up. She's way ahead here coming into that first 50. And then she has a great underwater kick. She really extended her lead during the second 50. She appeared to fade a little bit in the third 50, but then came back strong for 2:10.58. Not a great time, especially if she's going to go up against Shabalina in the final. It's going to be quick.
Just alongside her in the lane is compatriot Louise Fides, sharing a smile after they touched first and second. Bethany Firth ahead of Louise Fides. Australia's Ruby Storm again looking to cause an upset in the S14 classification. Perhaps she can find a second medal if she gets a decent draw for the final. To the second heat of the women's 200-meter freestyle S14. It's a race that sees Coronado of Spain. Pernilla Lindberg goes for Sweden as well in this tie, but you'll be watching out for the fly champion, Valeria Shabalina, the 26-year-old world champion in this event. Jessica Jane Applegate alongside her. Angela Marina of Canada in 6 and Janina Falk of Austria going in lane 7. So 4 lengths of this 50-meter pool. And into a lead almost immediately is Valeria Shabalina, the world champion in 2015, the world champion in 2019. and wanting desperately to become Paralympic Games champion.
Yeah, Shabalina, she's already out very strong. I think she will be able to control this first 50 and even the 100, and she definitely has that closing speed to come back. We saw her do it in the 100 fly. I expect that she'll be able to do this again. Jessica Jane Applegate, though, she is trying to hold on here. She can't let Shabalina get too far ahead of her because she's not going to be able to close with her.
So Pernilla Lindberg is trying to hold on. She was the unfortunate swimmer who finished 4th in this event in Rio 5 years ago. But Valeria Shabalina is fairly comfortable coming to the wall in just outside 1:02 for the opening 100 meters. And she touches ahead of Jessica Jane Applegate. Twice she has finished in the top 2 of the last 2 events. She finished as the winner in London and then runner-up to Bethany Firth in Rio in 2016. She is the European champ in the 100 free. And she'll be looking to prove her freestyle prowess in the pool again as she goes in the women's 200 free. If she can hold on to Shabalina's tail, so to speak, for now, she should get a decent time, which will get her into a good lane for the final.
Yep, Shabalina, she's turning way ahead of others. She's over a body length ahead of Jessica Jane Applegate. And here comes Jessica Jane Applegate. She needs to really turn on her legs, and the Aussie here starting to catch her, so she needs to make sure she maintains that. Oh, I'm sorry, it's from Swedenborg.
Pernilla Lindberg, the 27-year-old, is definitely trying to get the times that'll take her to another final. Somebody who's been swimming for the longest time. She finished 5th in 2012, 4th in 2016. Maybe there's a 3rd to come in 2020. But it is going to be a fine touch for Shabalina, who finishes ahead of Jessica Jane Applegate, and Pernilla Lindberg touching 3rd quickest overall. Angela Marina of Canada, 4th quickest with a 2:16.19. Outside her best, but for Shabalina, very comfortable.
Here's Shabalina looking very strong right off the start. And she comes into the first 50. She's already way ahead. And then she comes second 50. And really every 50, what Shabalina does is extend her lead. And she dives for that block, that finish, the touch pad at the end. 2:09.55. Definitely faster than that first heat. We'll see if anyone can challenge her tonight.
So Shabalina ahead of Applegate with Lindberg 3rd quickest. And the second heat of 2 of the women's 200 meter freestyle S14. Confirming 3 British swimmers through to the final. Pernilla Lindberg qualifying 5th fastest overall. Angela Marina of Canada is in. Australia's Ruby Storm and Michelle Alonso of Spain. They will all be trying to catch Shabalina, but that should be set up beautifully. Now the heats for the men's 50 meter freestyle S11. A race that we'll get a look at the great Young Bozun. Going in lane 5, Young Bozun, he remains the world record holder, a multiple Paralympic Games champion. The man who first shot to prominence by winning the 100 back title in Beijing in 2008, but he's gone on to subsequently win another 4 Paralympic Games gold medals. There he is. He'll be going in lane 5, the world record holder, Paralympic Games record holder, and the man who won this title in London 2012. There should be some real challenges coming from Smirnov and Serbin of Ukraine, while Bellarmino Pereira of Brazil is undoubtedly one to watch. The 23-year-old who is the world champion in this event. So the world champion and the world record holder go side by side. It's only one length of this 50-meter pool. Gunnarsson, Smirnov, Serbin, Bellarmino, Young, Reina Correa, and Menezes. Good start it was for Bellarmino Pereira of Brazil, but into the water. Young Bozun is immediately into the lane rope here. Bear in mind, this is for swimmers with visual impairment, and S11 the most severe. But it is Young who's still holding on to Bellarmino Pereira, who's making a real splash and looking to touch first. He's coming home. He will get the tap. Young is fading, and it looks like he's fading to a Brazilian on the outside. It's a good touch for Bellarmino Pereira, who just touched ahead of his compatriot Reina Correa de Souza, while Young Bozun holds on for third. And the world champion quite happy with his 26.47, nowhere near his best. For Young Bozun, 27.19 is well outside his best, almost 2 seconds out. But now at 35, perhaps beyond his best, but still going strong.
And for the 50 here, it's so important that they don't add extra distance, that they don't swim into the lane. And what Bellarmino does so well is that he stays straight. He's not really crashing into anything. He swims in a very straight line, and that's what you need for a 50 because it's only one lap, so there's no room for error.
So good swim from the Brazilian. World champion, just reminding the world of his credentials, and he'll be aiming for gold come the final. Bellarmino Pereira ahead of Reina Correa de Souza. Young Bozun of China third. Serbin, the promising youngster, touching fourth fastest overall, 27.44. He'll be keeping a very close eye on the second heat. Second heat of two.
The official results are now being displayed on the screen.
This is the men's 50-meter freestyle S11 second heat of two, as the swimmers gather for a chance to claim a place in the final.
Heat 2.
Going in lane 4, Edgaras Matakas of Lithuania, and who made the final of the Paralympic Games in Rio, but finished 8th in that final. But in Mexico City 4 years ago, won the World Championship title. He is the European champion and the former world champion, the Lithuanian, going in 4. Hwa Dongdong goes in 5 on his outside, the bronze medalist in the men's 400 free. But swims everything from 50 free to 400 free. He's got some pace about him, despite the fact that he is already claimed a distance medal. Matyukov, Zudzilao, Makovsky, Matakas, Hwa, Kabraha, Garipov and Drag. DNS from the Belarusian in 2, but off to a quick start in lane 4. Matakas is looking to get into his stroke quickly. He broke the water relatively quickly. Alongside him is Hwa Dongdong. And right now it is Matakas all the way. He is really powering towards a victory, but finding a settled stroke. Hwa Dongdong, who's hugging the lane rope to his right, looks to be coming back ever so slightly. Has he got room in which to bring it back and claim the win over Matakas? No, it's Hwa touches second. Makovsky of Poland does manage to touch third fastest overall, but Edgaras Matakas, 26.16. That's around about the times he's been swimming. A seat time of 26.13 for Matakas coming into this men's 50 freestyle S11.
Look how fast Matakas gets off the block here. The Lithuanian, he is a die-hard sprinter. He gets in, he pops up relatively quick to the surface, and then look how straight he is. Remember, he's wearing blackened goggles, yet he's able to stay exactly on the black line and go straight down. And that is key in this 50 because it's only one length.
A man whose aim is to break the world record. He'll be needing to go a good second faster if he's to break Young Bozun's long-standing record. He's the officials just confirming that the swimmers have been swimming with blackened goggles.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Despite the fact that most of the swimmers are completely without vision in the S11 classification, all swimmers, even partially sighted, are required to swim with blackened goggles. Sutilao is a DNS, but Matagash ahead of Hua with Makowski, catching third fastest in a race that included 2 Polish swimmers. Advancing to the final, Matagash the quickest time, but he'll be up against the world champion in Bellarmino Pereira, Hua Dongdong and Yang Bosun, the world record holder, qualifying 5th fastest overall. And watch out for 2 Brazilians and 2 Chinese swimmers up against Matagash in the final. It's the heats of the women's 50-meter freestyle S11.
Next up, the women's 50 meters freestyle S11 heats.
Lisette Bruinsma gets an opportunity to put her name in the proverbial hat for another medal as she goes in the first heat of 2 of the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. Japanese swimmer Ishura Tomomi and her compatriot Ono Chikako going in lanes 3 and 7 respectively. That's Lisette Bruinsma, silver medalist in the women's 400-meter freestyle. This is not her best event, it's not her favorite event, but she'll be hoping for a medal. She'll be needing to challenge Cypriot Pelendritou for the gold. Twice a Paralympic Games gold medalist, including in the 200 IM in Rio de Janeiro. A world champion previously in the 100, but never in the 50. Bruinsma goes in 4. Baez, Wang, Ishura, Bruinsma, Ma, Shevchenko, and Ono. Bruinsma getting off to that superb start, but breaks the water relatively quickly. Doesn't use the underwater quite as well as she might have. Ishura for Japan is looking very strong going in lane 3 as well, with Ma Jia of China now coming up in lane 5. Big push to the wall here. They all tend to go towards the right lane rope, but it is Ma Jia who is showing the strongest finish, and she's well ahead of world record pace here. Ma Jia, Lisette Bruinsma is coming back, but she is again zigzagging. It is Ma Jia who will break the world record in the preliminaries. What a swim from the Chinese athlete. Ma Jia, 30.05. Nobody's gone below 30.2. She's gone 30.05, and she will know with that kind of time in the preliminaries, she could break the world record. She's a former breaststroke world champion, but she didn't even medal at the World Championships in the 50 free. She finished outside the medals in London. So Ma Jia has shown just how much she has improved with this swim, in which she has smashed the world record, and she really had a terrible start.
She did, and she wasn't even that straight. She went into the lane line at first, but then she had a remarkable finish. Now she's very, very straight. She passes Bruinsma, and then she comes in, and she just had a very fast turnover, and she hit 30.05. You know, that world record was just set by Pelendritou in June 2021. So very recent, and now Ma Jia just smashed it again.
What a swim from Ma Jia. That's got to be one of the bigger moments of her career. Somebody who's still a relative newcomer to the competition. Just checking the goggles are black and Ma Jia, 23-year-old. But while she's been a world champion previously, it was in the breaststroke, which is her strongest stroke. I repeat, she made the final in London, but she was outside the medals. So this is a phenomenal swim. She's taken out her personal best by nearly 0.6 of a second. Splendid effort. A world record in the morning, the first on day 3 of competition, and it's come in the preliminaries. 30.26 by Bruinsma is only 0.06 of a second outside the old world record as well. This is a very fast race that we're set to see, I have no doubt.
Oh yeah, and now you have Pellandrito. The question is, can she answer back? And Pagonis. We saw her in day 2. She killed the world record in 4 free. And then the question is now, can she sprint?
So, Pellandrito. She turned 22 on the opening day of competition. Did Carolina Pellandrito of Cyprus? 35 rather. Where did I come up with 22? She's been around for quite some time at her 5th Paralympic Games. Good start from Pellandrito here as she goes in search of the quickest time. Having broken the world record earlier in the year, she's just seen her world record go. While she's based in Athens these days, originally from Cyprus, Limassol, and she is swimming very nicely and looking to just keep her line. She's ahead of world record pace here, so we are seeing some really top swimming, some fight back here from Li Guixi going alongside her, and she might touch ahead of Pellandrito. It's just a fingertip ahead of Li, but another world record here. Marina Pidubna of Ukraine touching 3rd at 31.14, but we've seen 2 swimmers go below 30 seconds. No swimmers previously in this event had ever gone sub 30 seconds. We've seen a world record go in each of the heats here. And Pellandrito of Cyprus is a world record holder once again, mere minutes after losing her previous world record.
And here, she gets off the block very quickly, and she was straight throughout the whole way. Right here in this last maybe 5 meters, she went into the lane. I didn't think she was going to get the world record at that point, but she recovered. She stayed left. And then she went 29.92. That is very fast for a 50 freestyle.
But how about the comeback from Li Guixi?
I know, both under 30 seconds.
Li Guixi did not look like she'd got off to the best start. But Li, as the defending champion, we expected something from her, but Pellandrito is the swimmer that you've got to focus on. She's been showing immense ability once again to be swimming quality times in 2021, and she's now smashed the world record, 29.92. Unbelievable. So 29.92. That is the time to beat now. Well, another final in which we should see absolute fireworks. We've got Pidubna, Pellandrito, Li, Bruinsma, Margia all going against one another in this final. But a world record for Pellandrito. She takes the 2nd heat in the women's 50 free S11 ahead of Li and Pidubna. Anastasia Pagonis, a world record and a gold medal already in these championships, and she's not even in the reckoning. She's qualified 8th fastest. But 3 Chinese swimmers, including Wang Xinyi, Li Guixi, the defending champion, and Margia, who was quickest in the first heat, and she set a world record that was smashed a minute later by Pellandrito.
You know, we could see 3 world records in that if it's broken again tonight. That would be remarkable.
To the heats now of the men's 50-meter butterfly S5. Going in heat 1. We've got Yuan Wei Yi, man who's already picked up gold in the mixed 4x50 freestyle relay. So Kubasov, Karimi, Yuan, Daliev, Mullen, and Petrocek of Czech Republic. Man from Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan, Siazbek Daliev, is wanting to show his speed in the water. A man who He's won a handful of Asian Para Games titles, but at the moment it's all about the Chinese swimmer Yuan Weiyi, who's having a phenomenal championship and indeed helped the Chinese relay team, the mixed relay team, to gold splendidly in day 2 of competition. And he is going to touch a Paralympic record time here, Yuan Weiyi. He touches ahead of Daliev with Karimi. Representing the refugee team, Karimi touching 3rd. And Daliev, one of the older competitors, now at 30. Yuan Weiyi, Paralympic record time, 32.3 in the men's S5.
Look at him off the start. He gets more height than anyone else. He goes in at a very clean angle, and then he spends a lot of time underwater so that by the time he pops up, he's already ahead. And then you can look at the speed of his kick next to anyone else. He's just so much faster because he doesn't have the use of he doesn't have anything in his upper body to use. He's entirely on his legs and then slams into the touchpad.
And touching 3rd fastest overall was Abbas Karimi, the Afghan refugee living in Fort Lauderdale in the United States. He is 3rd quickest overall, 36.36. Yuan Weiyi claiming it though, ahead of Siazbek Daliev of Kazakhstan. Maybe there's another gold medal to come for Yuan, but he's got plenty of competition. Second heat of 3 in the men's 50-meter butterfly. It features none other than the great Daniel Diaz. Now watch out for Wang Liqiao. He's quick. He's already picked up the 100 freestyle silver and a gold in the 4x50 freestyle relay, 20 points. There he is, 2 medals in 2 events. But at the World Championships, Wang Liqiao in the men's 50-meter fly finished as the winner. 31.52 he went. He's gone quicker this year. 31.52 was enough to see him claim the gold at the most recent World Championships. So for Plotnikov, Wang, Diaz, Cherniev and Rincon. Cherniev and Rincon will start in the water. Now watch the underwater of Wang. He is superb. He gets great underwater and streamline as he breaks the water. He is well in front, nearly a good body length ahead of Daniel Diaz, who is going outside him in lane 5. He's already got 3 bronze medals from 3 events. A man with a remarkable 27 Paralympic Games medals, 14 of those gold. Diaz is not going to be able to catch Wang here, I suspect, but he is making up plenty of ground in the closing stages of this race. Diaz is going to touch 2nd behind Wang, and it looks to be 3rd quickest is Cherniev of RPC. Indeed he is. 4th fastest was Plotnikov going for RPC in lane 3. 5th is Rincon, and Vo will come to the wall now for Vietnam. Wang Liqiao, silver medalist in the 100 free. Daniel Diaz.
Now the 50 fly and also the 50 free, when we see it, are those where these Chinese swimmers really excel because they're entirely on their legs. So it's all about the kick here. And what they try and do is they maximize their time underwater, and then once he gets up, you see how much deeper his kick is than anyone else. And then for him, all he has to do, what Wang has to do, is to hold on until the end. Now that time, 36.401, was actually 4 seconds slower than Yuan. So Yuan his time is going to position him extremely well for finals.
So Wang Liqiao, what he wants to do is become Paralympic Games champion so that he can go into the next Para Asian Para Games in Guangzhou in front of his friends and family as Paralympic Games champion. He's beaten Daniel Diaz in the second heat of 3. And that could be a time that'll see him swim in lane 4, potentially.
Official results are on the screen. There was a disqualification in lane 2.
So third heat of 3 in the men's 50-meter butterfly S5. Siga Hinata is Zheng Tao, a legend of the sport. Zheng Tao at 30 is so much more relaxed than he used to train exceptionally hard. Although backstroke, the 100 backstroke is his main event, and he'll be going for the 3-peat at these games. He is somebody who is very quick over 50 meters butterfly. He was world champion in Glasgow and he was world champion in Montreal before that. But he's cut back his training from over 30 hours a week to around 9 hours a week. Two Turkish swimmers going in the outside lanes in Niroglu and Kutlu. Semenenko goes for Ukrainian 5. Zheng Tao is underwater, seen him well ahead again as he breaks water. Again, a body length ahead of anybody else in the pool. Japan's Hinata Kaide is trying to make up a little bit of pace going in lane 3. Siga of Malaysia is showing strength on the outside, but this is better from Semenenko, who's fighting back while Hinata begins to fade. Zheng Tao is not showing any sign of let up, and he is going to power to the wall here, and it's going to be a quick time and maybe Paralympic record just outside that. Zheng Tao happy to touch ahead of Semenenko, while Hinata touches third quickest for Japan. So Zheng Tao wins the third heats, and we've had Chinese swimmers win all 3 heats.
Zheng Tao also explodes off the block, gets a lot of height, uses the underwater, but then once you see when he comes up, what he does is he drives with his hips, and then he maintains that consistent kick all the way through. 32.34, so he was about a 1.5 seconds off of his world record and not as fast as Yuan. So the race tonight between Zheng and Yuan, I think, will be very fast. But if Zheng can do this again and go a little bit faster, especially on that last 5 meters, he should clean up.
So this is an event in which he might be looking for the gold medal. Zheng Tao ahead of Yaroslav Semenenko. Hinata Kaide of Japan is posted a time that should see him qualify for the final, 37.8. I suspect Kutlu is out of the final. Yuan Weiyi, Paralympic record 32.3 ahead of Zheng Tao. Wang Liqiao will go in the final as the third of the 3 Chinese swimmers. Abbas Karimi, the refugee athlete, Afghan refugee, finds himself in the final as well. It's the heats of the women's 50-meter butterfly S5. 2 heats to come. Start list that includes Sevilay Öztürk, the Turkish swimmer who's been desperately seeking a medal. She's qualified for both the finals that she's contested. Finished 7th and 8th respectively. And at just 17, the invaluable experience. She was around as a 13-year-old or 12-year-old, almost 13 when she competed at Rio, but coming back with a little more experience here. It's Marta Fernandez, 27-year-old Spaniard who helped Spain in the 4x50 freestyle relay 20 points. Spain finished 5th, but she is somebody who has won this event at the European Championships as recently as Funchal 2020. And she'll be wanting to capitalize and take that kind of form into this now. Valladolid. So starting off the wall rather than off the starter's blocks. And the underwater is being used here by Öztürk of Turkey, but if she can keep her advantage, it's already Marta Fernandez who is into the stroke. Great arm use, wonderful rotation. She is just pulling away at the moment. So Marta Fernandez of Spain, the relay medalist in Funchal, but her only individual gold came in this very event in the 50 fly, and by the time she touches, she's over 2 body lengths ahead of anybody in world record time here. So Fernandez has smashed her own world record, and why I say that when it's outside the S5 world record, although this is an S5 classification, she is an S4 swimmer. She has just taken 2 seconds off her S4 world record of 43.22. She's swum 41.27, and the S4 swimmer has taken out all S5 swimmers. So not an S5 world record. That still belongs to Olena Akopoyan from Beijing, but my word, 2 seconds off her own world record, and she's just taken over 12 seconds off the Paralympic record that Tammy Cunnington set in Rio for S4. So that is sensational. How about that?
Oh my God. That is unbelievable. And she's also 4 seconds faster than Öztürk, who's an S5 and who was second in that heat. For Fernandez, as a 4, I mean, that's remarkable.
A 41.27 world record for the S4 swimmer in this S5 race. So when you do not have an event, the lower classifications can swim in combined events. But talk about somebody really showing that they have the ability to
Yeah, and here she
be
is.
competitive. Wow.
She has the lower leg impairment, so she's entirely on her arms here. Öztürk, she went out fast, but then Fernandez, she came on strong and she used her arms to power her way through. Very good swim on her end, 41.2.
She'll take that. Big smile on the face of Marta Fernandez. World record in the S4 classification, swimming with the S5s, and she's come out on top. She has the greater physical impairment as the classification state. Now for the second heat of 2 in the women's 50-meter butterfly S5. Lu Dong of People's Republic of China will be the swimmer to watch. She'll be going alongside compatriot Cheng Jiao. A couple of Brazilian swimmers as well to watch out for, in Rodriguez and Da Silva Neves. But Lu Dong, the 29-year-old, the Paralympic Games champion, but in the backstroke. She will go in lane 4. Lu, Larry, Rodriguez, Da Silva Neves, Lu, Cheng, Boyachi, and Butcher.
Take your mark.
We're getting off with a really good underwater, going well out in front is Lu Dong, and that's unsurprising. Somebody who's more of a backstroker and generally has claimed greater success on the global stage as a backstroker, is 2.5 body lengths ahead, and just looking to extend her advantage over Cheng Jiao, and it looks like Da Silva and Rodriguez. So just ahead of world record pace at the moment is Lu Dong. Is she going to be able to hold on? Looks like she's fading ever so slightly, and Cheng Jiao coming back a little. It's going to be outside world record time, I suspect, and a 40.74 is not too far off, but Lu Dong touches quickest 40.74, just ahead of Cheng Jiao, while Da Silva Neves touches 3rd quickest overall. So the touchpad not registering as Cheng Jiao touched, but she definitely touched second behind the winner in Lu Dong, the S5 swimmer. Now, 40.74, it's faster than the world record in the S4 that we saw winning the opening heat in this S5 classification.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good time. It's a very good time for Lu Dong. Here she is, that very powerful start. The key to Lu Dong is that she needs to save enough that she can come back in her legs. Here she is, she's fading at the end. Where in Cheng Jiao, she actually gets stronger. She builds that 50 because she's got the use of her arms. So for Lu Dong, it's all about hanging on.
So Lu Dong, who is very quick out over the first 50, and while she faded in the women's 100 freestyle S5 to fail to make the final in the butterfly here, she's gone out and she's gone 40.74, not far off the world record, ahead of Cheng Jiao. She will qualify quickest, but it's going to be a very good battle between Fernandez and Lu Dong in the final, you suspect. So qualifying quickest, Lu Dong. World record in the S4 classification for Marta Fernandez, but she showed that she can qualify with the best and challenge the best in the S5 class. Cheng and Yao will round out 3 Chinese swimmers in the final, while Seville Osterk, who's got a phenomenal start, will be hoping for a slightly quicker time. 2 Brazilian athletes sneak into the final, with Giulia Giretti of Italy rounding out the finalists. Now for the heats of the men's 200-meter individual medley SM7. And this is an opportunity to see for the first time one of the all-time greats of para-swimming. Rudi Garcia-Tolson, 32-year-old now, a champion in this event as far back as Athens in 2004. Six swimmers going across lanes 2 to 7. Igor Efrosinin, Trusov, Malyar, Basilov, Garcia-Tolson and Gawilan. Yevgeny Bohodaiko of Ukraine will go in the second heat of 2, the world champion and defending champion. The world record holder, I should say, and defending champion. There is Garcia-Tolson.
He loves this event. You know, he gets to do 50 of every single stroke. He's a veteran. You know, we used to watch him break his world record in the ready room for the 200 IM because the men would swim just before us, and he would always come out grinning from ear to ear. He loves this event.
There's no doubt. Fascinating individual as well, who's managed to achieve the most incredible things, including completing triathlons, Ironman. Motivational speaker and somebody who has genuinely inspired a generation. Efrosinin, Trusov, Malyar, Basilov, Garcia-Tolson and Gawilan. He remains 32 though, which I suppose reminds us that he's somebody who burst onto the scene as a youngster. Got off to a really good start, did Rudi Garcia-Tolson. So this is the 200-meter individual medley. 1 length of the pool in each of the 4 strokes. Starting off with the butterfly and then into the backstroke and then breaststroke before coming home in the freestyle. And at the moment it is Basilov of Argentina who is looking the most dangerous.
Yeah, Basilov, he had a great fly. Rudi, he was able to hang with him. He doesn't have as strong of a fly as Basilov right there, but he did get off to a good start. And also one thing to just note with this classification, some of them use a towel on the starting block, and that's because their limbs are right up against that scratching surface. So the towel, it prevents them from getting burns and scratches, so it makes the start a little bit more comfortable.
Basilov, Mark Mailer is coming back now at him. Basilov, who made his debut for Argentina as far back as 2014, despite the fact that he's only 20 years old. He touches second behind Molar at the 50-meter mark, Basilov. So the Israeli is in front now and should extend it with his breaststroke. Looking to just stay ahead of those around him. Rudy Garcia-Tolson is not far off. Currently in fifth, though, as Andrei Trusov has worked his way up into second position.
Yeah, Maliar, he had an excellent backstroke there. Breaststroke, he does appear to be fading a bit. He's got that lower limb impairment. So it makes, you can see, he doesn't really get much from the back. One way he could improve his stroke probably is by not breathing as much, but instead he is breathing every stroke, so he's losing a bit every single time he comes up for air.
Second in London is Mark Moeller, but he goes to the wall quickest and is hoping to come back. He is very much a freestyler, so he will enjoy coming back strongly. Based at the Elan Sports Center in Haifa, in a high-performance program. His twin brother, Ariel, is also a paraswimmer, somebody who's been hugely competitive for Israel as well. This is going to be a fairly comfortable swim to the wall for Mark Moeller, ahead of Inaki Basilov. Andrei Trusov will be third quickest in this, with Rudy Garcia-Tolson just fading in over the breaststroke leg. Moeller will touch first, ahead of Basilov, and third is Trusov. As Rudy Garcia-Tolson comes home now, hoping that a time will take him into the final as one of the 8 quickest men in the pool. Ernie Gawilan of Philippines is coming home to touch fifth, while Efrosinin of RPC touches 2:51.87. But Moeller always delighted.
It's actually a very good swim for Moeller, 2:32.86. He took some time off of his sea time. One thing that's great to watch about the 200 IM is that you have a mix of classifications, because you get a different class for freestyle, breaststroke, and then individual medley. So someone could have a different classification for freestyle, then typically drop down in the breaststroke, and then you have something entirely different in the IM. So Moeller here, he struggled with the breaststroke a little bit, but then you saw him come back very hard in the freestyle. And that just shows you there's a wide range, and you can see people, they just excel at different disciplines within the 200 IM. Makes it very fun to watch.
So results of the heat, it is Mark Moeller of Israel who is first to the wall, 2:32.86, ahead of Inaki Basilov, with Andrei Trusov finishing third fastest. Rudy Garcia-Tolson will be watching the second heat with great interest. Now we have another of a list of plenty of exciting individuals. We've got Suyash Jadhav of India, 27-year-old, whose father was a swimmer, who is hoping to make a Paralympic Games final. That is the world record holder, Paralympic world record holder, defending champion Yevgeny Bohodaiko of Ukraine, now 27 years old. This is his first big event in Tokyo. Christian Sadi going in 6 for South Africa. Evan Austin for the United States going in 5. Chinese Taipei's Cheng Liada going in 7. Argentina's Carlo Magno going in 2. But at the moment it is Christian Sadi who is taking it out quickest for the opening 50 here in the butterfly. He's a very good butterfly swimmer and hoping to make that advantage count. But Serrano alongside him, the Colombian, is showing how good he is in the butterfly. The 23-year-old, already Paralympic breaststroke winner in Rio 5 years ago, as one of 4 Colombians to have won a gold medal at the Paralympic Games.
And this is a very strong field. You have Serrano Zarate, who right now is in the 4th position. I'd expect him to make a big move on the breaststroke here with backstroke. He's just got to get through. And now you also see Bohodaiko, who's a very good backstroker. He's currently sitting in 3rd, but he needs to really turn it on when he goes into the breaststroke, and especially in the freestyle. Here he is, he's coming up. He looks pretty good right now. And sometimes Bohodaiko, he doesn't go as fast as, possible in the prelims. He does like to really save it up for the finals.
So Christian Sadi, who is the silver medalist from the 2017 World Championships, a man who narrowly missed out on the medals in London 2 years ago, finds himself touching first at the 100. The question is whether or not he's able to hold on much beyond the breaststroke leg. Bohodaiko is coming back, and Carlos Serrano is also making a bit of a challenge in the pool. But Bohodaiko is going to have a fair amount of work to do if he doesn't make up a little more in the water. He is now showing a little more in coming back. Bohodaiko and Serrano making up some time. Evan Austin just losing a little pace. And Sadi is now surpassed by Serrano. But his turn at the wall was far better, far stronger.
Yes, Serrano Zarate, great breaststroke right now. Then it's a question of, can he hang on? You know, he really needs to try and extend his lead if at all possible. And right now, he does appear to be getting past a bit. He needs to use his legs and just sort of accelerate into the wall at the end. And Bohodaiko appears to just be fading behind the top three, which is unusual.
Yeah, fading at the moment is Sadi as well. And it's Austin who is coming straight through the center, who is going to pip everybody else. He looked to be out of it. Serrano touches second and Sadi touches third. Bohodaiko, world record holder and defending champion, completely fading in the closing stages. But that a fine swim from Evan Austin to come back in 2:35.40. It's not the fastest race that you will ever see, but what a swim from Evan Austin. He's at his third Paralympic Games. Failed to make a final outside of the breaststroke in London, but in Rio was a regular finalist. The world champion fly specialist is Austin. He has popped up with a very good freestyle leg to win this first heat of 2 in the men's 200 IM.
Yeah, I mean, this heat was interesting because it looked like they were really racing all the way, but it wasn't actually an incredibly fast heat. 2:35.40, 5 seconds off of Bohodaiko's world record of 2:30. You have to wonder what these guys have in store for this evening. Here's the breaststroke leg. Serrano Zarate actually made his move on the breaststroke leg, but then he couldn't. You see, he fades back, and Evan Austin passes him on the freestyle. This is a great finish for Evan Austin.
Well, that is where Sadi lost it. Sadi was in front after the underwater at the final turn. Although Serrano touched just ahead of him, he used his underwater really well. But Sadi finishing third ultimately. It's disqualification for Bohodaiko, so we're not going to see the world record holder swim in the final, and DNS for Jarov. Evan Austin, though, what a finish in the final 50. So, Mark Malya qualifies fastest ahead of Inaki Basilov. Andrei Trusov will be the only Ukrainian swimming, as Bohodaiko was disqualified. The defending champion. Evan Austin and Rudy Garcia-Tolson both through to the final. Carlos Serrano, Christian Sadi of South Africa in his first final in his first event.
This is the women's 200 medley SM70s.
So heat 1 of 2 in the women's 200-meter individual medley SM7. And this, it's Julia Gaffney. Alongside her is the Australian, born in Sydney, now living in Port Macquarie in New South Wales, a little further away from Sydney, but in the same state in Australia. Paralympic Games champion of breaststroke in Rio, and off they go. And right now it looks looking to be Daniel Doris of Canada. Fantastic start from Daniel Doris, and straight into her stroke. She's going in lane 3, Gaffney in 4. Tiffany Thomas-Kane going in lane 5 for Australia, and Mexico's Naomi Somellera going in lane 6. But a significant advantage being built here by Doris of Canada.
And here, Daniel, yep, she's really going in, heading into the first 50. She's way out ahead in the fly. Doris, here, she's using her legs to really accelerate and take advantage of the underwater. Julia Gaffney now coming into the butterfly. Her stroke rate looks good, and she looks very even, but right now I think Doris is a little bit too far ahead of her in order to catch. And Tiffany Thomas-Kane, she also looks very good. She's a very experienced 200 IMer, so she needs to stay within range.
Well, that's it. I mean, she's got a very, very strong breaststroke, and she's been a multiple world champion and is indeed the reigning champion in the 100 breaststroke. But she looks like she's been left well behind by Danielle Doris here. Danielle Doris, only 18 years old, and somebody who's shot to prominence in recent years, and somebody who has swum at the Paralympic Games, got some experience by swimming in Rio de Janeiro as a 13-year-old. Swum in the World Championships, made a couple of finals as well, and finished outside of a qualifying place in the finals in London, but is looking sensational here. Danielle Doris ahead of Julia Gaffney, who's making up ground here, and this is where Danielle Doris is going to lose a little bit of time. Tiffany Thomas-Kane, multiple champion in world events, and indeed the defending champion in the Paralympic Games breaststroke. She's making up plenty of ground, but she's maybe a little too far behind Doris and Gaffney to realistically challenge.
Yeah, Julia Gaffney, look at that breaststroke. I mean, she's not breathing every stroke because she doesn't have use of her legs. This allows her to really accelerate and increase her arm speed. And she made up a ton of ground against Danielle Doris right now. Now heading into the freestyle, the question is, can Julia Gaffney hang on?
So Julia Gaffney, the world champion, looked like she was out of it completely, but she is showing her prowess in the back 100 with the breaststroke and now with the freestyle. And for Danielle Doris, it's fading fast after a very promising opening 50 and then a very solid backstroke leg to see herself in front. She is really struggling in the freestyle. Julia Gaffney is going to come to the wall here outside a Paralympic record time, but in a good enough time that'll see her qualify comfortably, very comfortably indeed, for the final. Danielle Doris coming home outside the 3-minute mark as she touches in 3:07.53, while Tiffany Thomas-Kane posts a 3:09.27. But at 2:55.66, that's a good time for Julia Gaffney, who's among the several swimmers based at the United States Olympic and Paralympic Training Center in Colorado Springs in Colorado. And like many, just one of the US swimmers who's amazed to be swimming alongside her idol on the same team. As she cites Jessica Long as her main influence. Here's Doris. How strong was that fly?
Yeah, she had a great fly. She had a great backstroke. Then she started to fall back a bit in the breaststroke, and then freestyle. I mean, Tiffany Thomas-Kane made up a ton of ground on that freestyle. I think if Tiffany Thomas-Kane can go out a little faster and fly and try and hang on a little bit more in the backstroke, she would probably have been able to beat Danielle Doris.
I say that, but Danielle Doris has been given the heat. Julia Gaffney has been disqualified. So the disqualification means that Danielle Doris will qualify quickest to 3:07.53. A DQ for Gaffney.
No, there's nothing worse than getting out, finding out you've been disqualified, and not even knowing what you've been disqualified for. So here she is. She's coming off the block, Julie Gaffney. She did have a good fly, but it was really Danielle Doris who took the fly right now. There you see Danielle Doris. She uses her legs because she's got that arm impairment, and she really, very good. And then she comes into the backstroke. Her backstroke was also very strong, but where she went down is on the breaststroke. Here's where Julie Gaffney passed her. And then Danielle Doris just continued to fade on that freestyle.
So disqualification for Julia Gaffney means that Danielle Doris is the winner of the first heat ahead of Tiffany Thomas-Kane. Now for the women's 200-meter individual medley, SM7. 5 swimmers going in lanes 2 to 6 with Prade, Berube. Mallory Wegerman goes in 4. Ledenberger of the United States goes in 5. And Isabella Vincent of Australia goes in 6. But straight away, Mallory Wegerman, the 32-year-old, 50 free champion in Rio, but somebody who is a champion of this event and somebody who loves this event, although a silver medalist from London. Mallory Wegerman going in 4.
Mallory Wegerman right now, she looks so good heading into the backstroke. She has had her fair share of trouble with classifications. She came in, she was classified as a 767, then she was bumped up just a few days before London. Imagine going into London with a new change of classification just like 2 weeks before. And then she went in, she won the 50-meter freestyle, but she wasn't really able to get back on the podium again. And now here she is. She's a 767 due to the, reclassification process that started in 2018. And look how well she's doing. She's such a balanced swimmer. One thing to note about her is that Mallory, she was a swimmer, a competitive swimmer, before she got injured. And that helps because it does mean that you have a better sense of the water, you know your body position, you know the strokes a little bit more. After, she lost the use of her legs, she had to relearn the strokes and relearn how to swim solely on her upper body. But she still had that familiarity with the water. She still had the touch.
She certainly does. That feel of the water is so important as she continues to lead the way into the breaststroke leg. And she's somewhere ahead of Camille Berube of Canada, who's going in 3, and Alia Lettenberger, who was 4th at the World Championships in London, but a triathlete, somebody who's got incredible amount of energy, and her endurance is not to be questioned, despite the fact that she can be quick. But Mallory Wegerman, known more for her sprinting, and I think that's the idea. Very good over the sprints, particularly World Championships, where she's a multiple world champion in the likes of 50 free, the 50 fly. She's even 100 breaststroke sprints as far back as Eindhoven in the Netherlands. But she's going to power to a victory here, and she'll be favourite for the gold in this event, undoubtedly, as Mallory Wegerman is coming home fairly confidently here. Somebody who studied marketing and public relations, would you believe, in Minneapolis in years gone by, hoping for time outside of the pool and planning for years beyond competitive swimming, but at the age of 32 is still swimming competitively and swimming fast enough to break the Paralympic record. Mallory Wegerman, the Paralympic record, she touches well ahead of anybody else in the pool. It'll be Lettenberger to touch 2nd, and 3rd is Berube of Canada. Coming home now, Isabella Vincent of Australia, while the Colombian Prada is going to come home. Oh, smile on the face for Mallory Wegerman as Prada of Colombia comes home. Well, she seems pleased by the Paralympic performance. Paralympic record. And how close will she go to her world record in the final? Hasn't been swimming her world record type of times in some years now.
Here's her start. She propels herself forward entirely with her arms, and look how strong her butterfly is and her backstroke. It's a very even stroke. And then when she comes into the breaststroke, here's her freestyle. Her hips, they stay on top of the water. That is so hard to do when you don't have use of your legs. That is just, it's a beautiful swim. Every single one of Mallory's strokes, they're very technically sound.
Indeed they are. So the 2 Americans, 1st and 2nd, Wegerman and Lettenberger. Paralympic record for Wegerman. Camille Berube of Canada finishes 3rd. Isabella Vincent, just 15 years old, the youngster from Adelaide, who finds herself finishing 4th quickest in this heat. And as a result, she is one of 2 Australians who qualifies. Isabella Vincent with Tiffany Thomas-Kane, a 309.27 for her. 2 Americans, 2 Canadians, 2 Australians, a Mexican and a Colombian, as Sommiero and Prada sneak in to the IM final. So this the heats for the men's 400-meter freestyle S13. Now, Kirilo Garaschenko is one of the names to watch. He is about the only swimmer who's been able to keep pace with Ihar Boki, the legendary Belarusian who is the world record holder and the Paralympic record holder, the defending champion, and a man who is poised to become the most successful Paralympian at these games. But first, Kirilo Garaschenko will be expected to take the opening heat of 2 in the men's 400-meter freestyle S13. Chufarov of Ukraine goes in 2, Sergei Punko of RPC. Braden Jason of Australia will go in 5, and Genki Saito of Japan goes in lane 6. But Garaschenko in the center lane. Oh, very sluggish start from Garaschenko, but Braden Jason got off to a very good start. The 23-year-old Australian going in lane 5 and straight into his stroke. But Garaschenko is the strongest swimmer, and he's been going around the 4-minute mark, 4:01.67 already this year. The idea would be to go below 4 minutes. That'll be the only realistic way he'd be able to challenge somebody like Ihar Boki, you would imagine, for gold come final time.
Yeah, so for the 400-meter freestyle, your strategy from prelims needs to be just keep it controlled, keep it even, don't expend too much energy. It's hard to swim the 400-meter freestyle twice, both in the morning for preliminaries and then to swim it that same day during finals, because you want to make sure that you have enough in the tank. But at the same time with preliminaries, you don't want to go too slowly that you wind up with an outside lane and then you can't see the people both to your left and to your right. And Garaschenko right now, very controlled, 1:00.63. It's a solid first split. We know that he probably is the only person in this field who could challenge Ihar Boki.
As of now, it is Braden Jason, 5th in the Rio finals, 4th at the World Championships, who is second here to Garaschenko, just off the legs of the S13 swimmer. S13 classification for swimmers with visual impairment. But partially sighted are the S13 swimmers, unlike the S11s who are legally blind.
And in this classification, they do tend to swim straighter. You don't see them running into the lane lines as much, so they don't have to worry so much about adding all that extra distance if they veer to the left or if they veer to the right. But so again, in this race now, Garaschenko, he's all by himself. That means he's got clean water to the left and to the right. He really needs to keep his own pace, to just swim his own race, keep it controlled. 2:02.93. He's keeping it very even. He's accelerated his lead. Right now, he looks like he's kind of just cruising.
Yeah, you were right on the acceleration. It was just about 0.6 of a second quicker over that last 50, which gives you an idea that he does have the ability to just take it up a notch whenever he needs to. Not quite as steady as somebody like Chufarov. Sergei Punko is going in lane 3 and is at the moment in a bit of a battle with Saito Genki for 3rd spot. But Jason of Australia, one of those based at the Sunshine Coast, who is lying second. Now, Garaschenko, it's not the first time you would have seen him in the pool. He's very much a 400 freestyle swimmer in this S13 classification, but he's already swum in 2 finals, in the men's 100 backstroke and the men's 100 fly. He's finished well outside the medals in both, in 6th and 8th. But this is not only a race in which he is expected to medal, it's the one where he might be able to catch Ihar Boki, who is the dominant athlete in this classification, the S13 classification. Did finish behind him at the World Championships in London. Swam a good 4:01.67. He's been posting that sort of time for the last couple of years.
He's going to be well off the 4:01 during this preliminary swim, but that's fine. All he has to do is secure himself a spot for finals. And look at him right now. He's starting to put on his legs a little bit, but he just looks so controlled. It's almost like he could swim an 800 or a 1500 right now. It looks like he's got a lot left in the tank.
So he is going to comfortably come home in top spots. And there is plenty left in the leg. Again, very, very, very Consistent is Garaschenko, who's just eased off now over the last 100 meters and glides to the wall. Garaschenko touches quickest, not in particularly fast time of 4:10. But that'll be more than quick enough to probably see him qualify at least in the top 3 for the final. Braden Jason should qualify for the finals, where he has an opportunity to improve on his 5th from Rio, while Sergei Ponko of RPC touches 3rd quickest, 4:28.91. Jufarov, the S12 swimmer, comes home in 4:37.26, outside his own world record and personal best that he set in Montreal, the world champs in 2013.
Here's Garaschenko coming off the start. Not a particularly fast start, but then he comes up. He's just so consistent. He's so even. It's almost just like a warm-up swim for him. He wants to maintain control. He doesn't want to expend too much energy coming into the night because he knows to go up against Ihar Boki, probably one of the, if not the greatest swimmer that we're going to see at this meet right now, he needs to give it everything that he has, and he's going to have to truly sprint that last 100.
So plenty left in the tank, you would imagine, after the way he eased off for the final 100 for Garaschenko, who finishes ahead of Braden Jason, Sergei Ponko and Saito Genki. I'll be looking at the clock to hope they secure a place in the final. For the men's 400 freestyle S13, the second heat of 2. Sees 5 swimmers going. Germany's Taliso Engel, Spain's Ivan Salguero. Ihar Boki of Belarus goes in 4. He's the world record holder. He is the Paralympic record holder. He's the defending champion. He's the world champion. He is arguably the most successful swimmer we have ever seen in terms of golds to races ratio. Alex Portal, watch out for him. He's a youngster from France. He's 19 years old, but he's somebody who's shown a real ability to fight and battle with the best of them. But Ihar Boki will almost certainly not be denied. Boki goes in 4, but watch out for the youthful exuberance, shall we say, of Alex Portal, because he's got something about him, and he's already had a 4:02 swim this year. He finished second in the European champs.
He's already going out a little bit ahead of Ihar Boki, but that's exactly where Ihar Boki likes to stay in this 400-meter race. You see, he's got that very slow, deliberate stroke here, which is it's fine for a 400-meter freestyle. And what Ihar Boki likes to do is he likes to kind of just hover there for the first 300, sometimes even the first 350 meters, and then turn on his legs at the very end. Ihar Boki is truly a sprinter, but then he kind of transposes that sprinting ability to the 400 where he can.
So Ihar Boki finds himself trailing, but he will not in any way be bothered by that in the early stages. Although this S13 classification is for swimmers with visual impairment, bear in mind that they are partially sighted. They have not completely lost their vision. So they are able to monitor the swimmers around them. They will be aware of who is swimming alongside them at any given point and where they are in relation to the lead. So Boki is not going to be upset by this, but this is the type of ambitious, shall we say, overzealous maybe, but it's that kind of zeal that you want to see from youngsters in the pool.
Oh, for sure. Look, Ihar Boki just had a great turn, caught right up to Alex Portal. Portal, he's working a lot harder than Ihar Boki right now, and you can tell that because his stroke rate is faster and he's not really catching as much water. By contrast, if you look at Ihar Boki, look at that slow stroke. You know, look, his hands are tight together. That means he's catching a lot of water underneath, and then he goes into the walls. He's not going in particularly fast, but then his underwaters are better. Alex Portal actually had a good turn there.
So Portal and Boki are so far ahead. Behind them, Engel, Sotnikov and Salguero are having a little bit of a battle for that 3rd spot. But there is a gorgeous view of how the swimmers are coming into frame. The top 2, Boki and then Portal, just off his shoulder, but Taliso Engel of Germany in 2, and Ivan Salguero of Spain going in 3 are neck and neck, with Sotnikov of RPC going in 6.
And now Ihar Boki has just taken this race, coming into the final 300. They're right approaching that 300-meter mark, and Alex Portal has just faded. Now he's well more than a body length behind. If he wants to really challenge Ihar Boki and Garaschenko, who we know is going to be really up there tonight, he needs to do better in controlling that first 200.
Oh, I need to put it into perspective. When we talk about Ihar Boki and the gold medals and why we sometimes run out of superlatives describing his performances, it's because this is his 17th event at the Paralympic Games and just his 3rd Paralympic Games. So in the 16 events that he's swum at the Paralympic Games until now, he's won 15 medals. He's only once missed a podium place, and that was in the 100 breast in London. That was 9 years ago. Since then, he has gone on to win 13 golds, a silver and a bronze in the 15 other events that he has completed. He's going to qualify quickest here, barring anything sudden and disruptive. He is going to qualify quickest here and should be well set for what would be a record 14 golds in just 17 events at the Paralympic Games. But Alex Portal, for the first 250 meters, he looked like he was putting himself into a position to do something great. He is saving himself, I imagine, because he is a 4:02 swimmer this year. But to try to swim, as you say, the low 4s in the preliminaries and then try to swim that in the final is going to be challenging. It is Sotnikov who's going to come home to touch 3rd quickest, just ahead of Engel and then Salguero of Spain. But it is Ihar Boki, a man who has even seen his own stamp appear in Belarus after his 6 golds and a bronze in 7 medal events in Rio. Belarus issued a commemorative stamp with his face on him.
Here's Boki coming off the start. He's got great underwaters. Remember in the beginning, it was really Alex Portal who challenged him. It was, I'd say, the first 150. They go into the first turn. Boki, he's got great underwaters. Alex Portal did a good job here. That was a good turn on his end. But then Boki, he just took it with that slow, deliberate, very efficient stroke. It wasn't a particularly fast swim by him, 4:06.02, well off of his world record. But you know that he's going to be a lot faster tonight and probably is going to challenge that world record mark from 2013.
He looks to be a very strong swimmer, and he is indeed. He looks to be in the form of his life, despite the fact that he's competing in his 3rd Paralympic Games, and some argued past his best, but there is no signs of any lit up in the body of Ihar Boki, who qualifies quickest to the final. He will be up against the likes of Garaschenko, but watch out for Alex Portal. There is a real fire that looks to have been ignited in the young Frenchman, and he'll be challenging for a medal come final time against the likes of Garaschenko and Boki. To the heats of the women's 400-meter freestyle, S13. Two heats. And the name that really stands out is Carlotta Gili, a silver medalist in the 100 backstroke, a gold medalist in the women's 100 fly. World record still held by Becca Myers, 4:19.59. Incidentally, she holds the S12 and S13 world records, having swum as S13 in 2016 at the Paralympic Games, S12 more recently. Gillian Dedekant. We go in the middle lanes. Carlotta Gili, the 20-year-old Torino-born Italian, goes in lane 4. 100 fly gold, 100 back silver, but in this 400-meter freestyle S13, in one of her 6 events, individual events, she is going to be pushing for not only a medal but a gold medal And it'll be a massive battle, should it be set up, against Anastasienko of Ukraine.
Carlotta Gili, she looked great coming out. She needs to use her turns more. You know, we saw her, she has an excellent butterfly, and she needs to carry over the underwater kick to each one of these turns. Even though the 400, it's 8 lengths of the pool, it's a relatively long race, it's 50 meters. You know, you do need to use your turns because they can help you. If you're able to maximize what you can underwater, which is always faster than how you're swimming on top, it can do nothing but help.
Gili comes to the wall first, ahead of Katja Dedekind, who took bronze in the 100 back. Just behind Carlotta Gili, who took the silver in that race after taking gold in the 100 fly. At the moment, though, it is Roisin Nerian of Ireland who is third quickest overall, and then a little bit of a battle developing between Era Beltran of Spain and Lukyanenko of RPC going in lane 2. Fairly comfortable here for Gili. 150, 139.98.
And you can see here that some of the swimmers are using tappers. This is because here we have a collapse of the S12s and the S13s. They're both in this heat. And, you know, S11 through S13s, 11 have the most vision impairment and 13s have the least. So the 12s are the ones that are probably going to be using the tappers.
So the tapper is out, the assistants who tap the swimmers when they're getting close to the wall, within 5 meters of the wall, and in reality a lot closer to that. But Daria Lukyanenko is the S12 swimmer in this heat who is getting tapped now. Just a little tap on the back of the head or the back of the neck, or even on the back itself, just an indication that the wall is approaching and that they do need to make the turn. Ultimately, it's about being able to see the black line under the water and whether or not you can see the T ahead of the wall. If you can't, the tappers may help in the visual impaired classifications. For Carlotta Gili, this is turning out to be a very good, it's almost like a training type of swim. She's found a great rhythm here, is Gili, and she's settled into it. Touches almost 3 seconds ahead of Katja Dedekind.
She's going to have no problem getting through to the finals. She looks strong. She doesn't look like she's working that hard. I again think that she could do better with her walls, but maybe she's saving that up for tonight because you want to spend as much time underwater as you possibly can to maximize that underwater kick. Right now, though, she is breathing every stroke. She looks like she's very calm.
She does indeed. Not taking too much of it. Not too much energy being expended by Gili, who's very much more of a sprinter, although she enjoys the 200 individual medley, and she's world champion in that event on more than one occasion. She tends to win the shorter events. In the 400 free, this is not an event that she's dominated. It's an event that she wants to win, and looking for a chance to do that here. She's never won the 400 freestyle in either the world or the European Championships. That's largely down to a certain Anastasienko who will be going in the second heat.
Yeah, I don't really think that Gili is going to be a huge challenge for Stetshenko unless Gili starts to really turn it on with her legs and she's able to hang on that back half, because that's where Stetshenko is very strong.
Stetshenko is going to be going in the second heat, but the first heat here, Gili with a fairly comfortable swim. She'll be looking to add this to her medal collection regardless of the color, and maybe there's a chance to complete the collection as well. Gold in the 100 fly, silver in the 100 back. Although she'll be wanting to go for gold undoubtedly. Katja Dedekind, bronze in the 100 back for her. She's going to swim to second in this heat, and a stronger finish from the Irish swimmer Roisin Nerian. Just 16 years old, Roisin Nerian. Already made 2 finals, the back and the fly finals, both over 100 meters. But somebody who's swum this event at the European Championships. Although she didn't medal in the event, she got herself into contention for a medal with her 4th place finish. So Gili victorious in the first heat of 2 for the women's 400 meter freestyle S13.
Here's Gili coming in. She had a good start. She did use her underwater there, and then she pops up to the surface. She went out pretty nicely. Here she is approaching that first turn. She could do better using her underwaters, like we said. She's got an excellent fly. Dedekind actually does a wonderful fly kick there. And Hijili, she's coming into the turn, and you see here now she's just starting to pop up, almost like she's just cruising. She doesn't look particularly tired. It's just she's going out for a leisurely morning swim. 4:38. It was a respectable time for her, not a problem getting into the finals, or she'll have to go against Stetsenko.
So results, Carlotta Gili is comfortably in top spot. 4:38.69 for her, ahead of Katja Dedekind and Roisin Nerian, the 16-year-old Irish swimmer. Perhaps a little inspiration from Ellen Keane, as she'll be hoping to go for a medal. Spain's Edo will be looking at the times. Second heat of 2 in the women's 400-meter freestyle S13. This is the final bit of action in the preliminaries on day 3 of competition, the swimming competition. Lani Ferreira of South Africa going in lane 1. Kaylin Curry of the United States going in 2. Delgado of Spain. Stetsenko is the swimmer to watch going in 4. She's already gone 4:23 this year. And in the absence of Rebecca Myers, this seems to be Stetsenko's race. Tosh Bulatova, though, can challenge. She goes in 5 alongside it. Michaela Neitzel of USA at 6, and Japan's Tsujuchi going in 7. Reaction time is not overly quick from any one of these swimmers, bar Delgado. Neitzel looking good in the opening stages, but there is still plenty of way to go. 8 lengths of this pool, and we're into the first. And Michaela Neitzel just looking to lead Ayana Tsujuchi.
Neitzel out at the 50. You know, we were talking about reaction times. It's only it's the longest event that's available in the Paralympics. So the reaction time, it's not particularly important. Although if a swimmer gets a good start, it can give them confidence to keep going. But this race here, it's really Stetsenko's to lose. We saw in 2016, Rebecca Myers went out and basically just said, "Catch me if you can," and Stetsenko couldn't. So you know now that now in Tokyo, Stetsenko, she's going to want to go out and she's going to want to send a very, she's going to make a statement and send a message saying, this race is mine.
Certainly looks to be doing that at the moment. As Stetsenko is leading the way for Ukraine. A lot more experienced now. Currently based in Dnipro in Ukraine. Michaela Neitzel still looking good for US. She's going in one of the outer lanes, hoping to hold on to second, but Stetsenko is proving far too strong. Neitzel just being caught on her outside by Tsujuchi.
And I do think that this heat is going to be much faster than heat 1, especially with Stetsenko leading. She's going out and she's setting a commanding lead. Her stroke, it's very even right now. She's not working too hard. She wants to get a solid time to post it against others and let them know that this race is hers, but at the same time, she needs to keep it controlled so that she has everything ready for finals.
The European champion is going along nicely. She's several body lengths ahead. A little more even amongst the swimmers behind her, the likes of Kaylin Curry of the United States, Delgado of Spain, Tosh Bulatova of Uzbekistan, Neitzel of the United States, and Japan's Tsujuchi. Lani Ferreira of South Africa, just a little off the pace. Another one of the athletes in the S13 classification who was diagnosed with Stargardt's disease relatively young, which affects the central vision. And somebody who's been very outspoken for athletes and has been an athlete's representative in Africa and throughout Africa, and hoping to bring some of that to the world's attention as well. As Anna Stetsenko touches at the 250 mark, well in front. Well, she's almost 25 meters in front at the moment.
She is. She really does look good right now. She doesn't even look like she's working that hard. You know, she's going to want to be faster for tonight, but at the same time, she doesn't want a swim that's too slow. She wants it to give her the right amount of confidence going into finals. And here, she is starting to turn on the legs, to pick up. She's still breathing every stroke, which is, it's okay if you look at how much distance per stroke she's getting. Here, she hits the wall going into the final 100. You're going to see her start to use her legs a little bit more, and she wants to build this final 100.
At the moment, it's Spain's Maria Delgado who's made up a little bit of ground. She's second overall, the 23-year-old. And the S12 swimmer who finished second in the women's 400-meter freestyle in Dublin in Ireland in recent European Championships. Not the most recent in Funchal, but she's very much more of a sprinter. She is, however, up into second spot, the Spaniard. But only one swimmer really to watch. Toshbulatova is trying to pull up into second alongside Delgado now, but the swimmer who is in front and so far ahead of anybody else, almost 15 seconds ahead of anybody else in the pool right now. It's a very comfortable swim for Anna Stetsenko of Ukraine.
And she should have no problem beating Carlotta Gili's time from the first heat, but Stetsenko, for her, it's not going to be a great time, but it is a respectable time, 4:31.5. Great. She's going to go in with that top seed right in the middle of the pool.
Well, that's where she wants to be. Here's Soshka Toshbulatova, the Uzbek swimmer, who will just come home ahead of Delgado of Spain. Toshbulatova has not had the kind of championship she would have liked, though, finishing 4th and 5th in the women's fly and backstroke, both over 100 meters. There's Alani Ferreira coming home now, the swimmer from Pietermaritzburg, the capital of the KwaZulu-Natal province in South Africa. Touches, but a fine victory for Anna Stetsenko. And she is going to be the dominant swimmer, the one to catch come final time, as she claims the second heat of 2 and qualifies quickest for the final.
You see her off the block, not an excellent start, but she does have good underwater, and then when she pops up, she immediately goes into that very even-keeled stroke. Here she is breathing every single stroke, but if you look at how much water she catches, it is an efficient, it's a deliberate stroke. And now here she is coming into the end. Up, she turns, pops right up, and then she goes that final 50 coming in, and you had seen she started to turn on the legs a little bit, but you know she's got a lot left in the tank for tonight.
Not quite imperious, but a dominant display from Anna Stetsenko. She qualifies quickest ahead of Toshbulatova and Delgado with a good swim. The S12 swimmer going nicely. Michaela Neitzel faded in the latter stages of the race. So did Tsujiuchi, but they finished 4th and 5th respectively. So Tsujiuchi just sneaks into the final with that 4:49.96. So to Neitzel. Roisin Nerian of Ireland is going to be swimming in another final. Toshbulatova, Dedekin, Gili, Stetsenko. Maybe some outside challenges to come for that bronze medal, but I tell you, Stetsenko is the swimmer to catch. Gili will be confident of at least another medal regardless. Some polite applause for the swimmers as they leave the pool and make their way out past a brigade of media. There's some of the South African contingent, including Ty Slattery on the far left, a former Paralympic gold medalist, a great breaststroker in his day. And there he is, pointing out he's on television. Smiles all round for some, but we have been entertained again with a host of quality swims in this preliminary session on day 3 of the swimming competition. We've seen a couple of world records go as well, most notably in the women's 50-meter freestyle S11, where 3 swimmers went under the previous world record mark across 2 events. That is going to be a particularly exciting race to watch. Just one race to watch for you later?
I'd say also I can't wait for the 400 freestyle where Ihar Boki is maybe going to be challenged. Also, another good one to watch is Rhys Dunn's 200 freestyle to see if he can bring home the gold this time.
That is going to be a very important one for Rhys Dunn. But at the Tokyo Aquatics Center, we have had our preliminaries. We are done with the heats and finals to come as swimmers posted top times. That concludes our session from the Tokyo Aquatics Center.